This is the Stop Time Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Hopkins, and I'm here to engage you in thought-provoking, motivational conversations around practicing the art of living in the moment. I'm a certified life coach, and I'm excited to dig deep and offer insights into embracing who we are and where we are at. Today I'm speaking with internationally recognized actor-singer Fra Fee, who is widely known for playing Courfeyrac in the popular film adaptation of Les Miserables. He played the role of Michael Carney in The Ferryman at the Royal Court Theatre, the West End and Broadway productions directed by Sam Mendes, for which he won the 2018 What's on Stage Award for Best Supporting Actor in a Play. He recently played Owen in Brian Friel's play translations at the National Theatre in London. Fra can be seen in the indie film Animals and has just completed filming The Laureate and the much-anticipated Cinderella starring Camila Cabello. Welcome, Fra. Thanks so much for joining me today on Stop Time.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So where are you spending most of your time these days?
Well, you've caught me currently in a very random little town in Oxfordshire. I'm in Aylesbury at the moment. But for the most part, I've actually just been in London, in the centre of the city. I've been living in London Bridge for about 5 years now. So I've been mainly there for the last 5 months, which has been interesting. I mean, I was very, very much concerned about being so central in the thick of it. And, London without its cultural and artistic institutions like theatres and galleries is a bit of a shell of its former glory. So it's been intriguing to be in the city in that context. But yeah, I'm been healthy and everyone close to me is safe and well, which is the main thing. But yeah, it's been very, very strange.
Were you in London when Broadway shut down in March?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was around the similar sort of date. I think we went into lockdown around March. I remember because it was before St. Patrick's Day. Ireland went into lockdown the day before St. Patrick's Day, and that's when we knew that we were in real trouble. That they closed all pubs before the biggest drinking day of the year.
Yeah, I'm always curious to know, because this is a date we'll all remember, right? The number doesn't really matter, but the moment that you realized, wow, this is real. Do you remember sort of what you were most concerned with at that point?
Thinking rather selfishly, I actually was thinking, how am I going to get out of this? And I did speak to my boyfriend. I was keen for us to maybe get out of the city, which obviously didn't work. But I didn't like the idea of being in the city during this. I guess it was, just seeing these escalating numbers in places that I loved, particularly back at home, like in Northern Ireland, where I'm originally from, just such a small, the sort of microcosm of a place. And the amount of cases there and people dying was really, really shocking and staggering. And because it's such a small place, there was only a few degrees of separation as to someone that you knew. And I had lots of friends that are doctors working in hospital and stuff. And that realization that we're in very deep here, and this is something that is life changing. It's quite hard to believe now that we've been living it for so long, and it's become somewhat more real. But yeah, that realization that this was happening and it was there's no getting out of it was quite something for sure.
Yeah, no, I think it was a real shocker for all of us, no doubt. And I think still is, as you said.
I mean, it has been delightful that things have relaxed over here a little bit, but I mean, to what detriment, really? I don't actually. I'm pretty sure that we're going to have a second wave. There's going to be a second spike in cases in the same way there is in the States. It's just a matter of time. And what that will do to our mental well-being. I'm scared to think of, really. But yeah, it's a real test of resilience.
Absolutely. What would you say is the greatest challenge you've faced so far?
I think it has had to do with my creativity and sense of purpose. initially I was very excited about the idea of doing very little, and thought, because I'm usually quite good at that. I wouldn't say that I'm an introvert necessarily, but I do really enjoy my own space, and I do enjoy time by myself, and I treasure not having lots of things to do. But I find this really hard. I found it very, very difficult waking up without a sense of purpose. Art is my sense of purpose, and whenever you are denied that or deprived it does tricky things with your head. So that was a real sort of personal challenge, and I I managed to find other ways to sort of satisfy my creativity, and particularly when it comes to the idea of collaboration, which is what I love most, and working with people. Like, not being able to do that was very, very difficult. So yeah, that would have certainly been the biggest challenge for me, for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean it makes perfect sense, especially, in our business, there's so much about being busy. As you said, you appreciated
Mm.
rest, but then when you realized there was nothing coming down the pipeline,
Can be pretty
it was
daunting, right?
Actors are we are well trained for time off. That's part of the deal. When you decide to go into this game, you need to be prepared to not be working. But then there's always that drive to, well, it's just a phone call away, or I've got an audition to prepare for, or I can go for singing lessons, or I can do a Meisner course, or I can better myself and attain these extra skills. We weren't able to really do any of that stuff, certainly not in person and interact in that way. So yeah, that has been really hard. I actually do think it's been the most wonderful lesson though. And 5 months in, there's definitely a sense that, okay, I think I did probably need to learn this lesson, as difficult as it was. And I don't think I'll be exactly the same type. Well, I hope I'm not going to be the exact same person coming out of this, or when we get back to normal. There's going to be things that I will have learned and will hope to attain from this experience. Things that I've learned about time and space, and not running around like a headless chicken all the time, just trying to be as busy as possible. I thought that brought me lots of happiness, but actually, I'm not sure if that's the right thing at all.
Mm, yeah, that's a pretty massive discovery, isn't it?
Yeah, big time. I mean, myself and my boyfriend have decided to move to the countryside, for God's sake, as a result of this. And I have realized that I can still work as an actor, and I can still satisfy my sort of creativity, not being in the thick of it. So we've made a bit of a life-changing decision. Certainly, it's a big new chapter, even if it's just for a year. To get out of the city for a bit, and that absolutely wouldn't have happened if we hadn't gone into lockdown, if there wasn't this pandemic.
Yeah.
So yeah, proper lessons learned, and
Yeah.
just what's actually important. And of
Mm.
course, my art really, really is important, but there's so much more that I think I wasn't paying attention to necessarily before.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. That's amazing. You talked about, moving forward and being different than when you went in. And I'm curious to know, as you're learning more about yourself as time goes on with this, it sounds like you're gaining a lot more sort of perspective on maybe reframing who you want to be and what you want to take with you and what you've learned. And talk to me a bit about that.
Yeah. Well, just keeping on the work thing, I feel as though a lot of us tend to be yes people. I was also fearful of actually having significant downtime. A day or two here where I've got nothing to do, it's lovely. I'll relish in it, and I'll just read a book or go for a long walk, whatever. But significant downtime, I was always wary of, weeks or months. So I would say yes to anything, even if I didn't actually want to do it. And it's mad when you think that.
Mm.
Why am I agreeing to do stuff that absolutely doesn't interest me, or intrigue me, or challenge me? And that's something that I've figured out. I actually would far prefer to either teach, which I love anyway, so I'm not accepted, say, an acting project and teach for a few months, or make money doing something else that doesn't, not necessarily in industry based or whatever. So that's been a big thing. The power of saying no to things is something I've struggled with, and I think I feel as though I've acquired the tools to do that moving forward. I think it's just a powerful thing to do. To retain control in what it is that you actually want.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I'm just thinking a bit more philosophically or whatever. I've absolutely treasured my daily walks. At the beginning, all we were able to do was go for one walk a day, and just seeing the sky without an airplane in it, and discovering London parks that I'd never gone to before, and just really, really paying attention to the Mother Earth and the world and the sort of beauty in it, has been extremely enlightening. I don't think I was at all present as much as I want to be. Something that I'll take forward, hopefully.
Yeah, no, for sure. The whole mojo of this podcast is living in the moment, right? Live in the moment. And so I'm
Yeah.
so curious to know, what's your definition of that, if you have one? What comes to mind if I said, what's your definition of living in the moment?
I think it's yeah, paying attention, paying full attention. And there's times when I've been good at it, but often just things get overwhelmingly fast, and things are, it's a very, very sort of sensual, modern visual world that we're in. And it can sometimes I lose sight of what it is that I'm actually experiencing. There can be a load of really, really brilliant things, and it all happens so fast, and you're pursuing the next thing that actually I haven't even stopped to just enjoy what has been taking place. And that's what it's about. It's about, like, paying attention to the here and now, whether it's good or bad. Like, really sort of relishing in the authenticity of the moment. We've been given an opportunity to really do that because life has become very, very slow, and we've got time. But whenever it starts to get pacey again, we have to remember to do that. Otherwise, you just sort of blink and it's all over, and you've sort of missed the opportunity.
Yeah. Why do you think it is that we forget?
I think we're always just looking for the next thing. I don't know what that is, whatever that sense of fear, perhaps, I mean, we're always fear that the phone's not going to ring, like, a second time, or after this job. We're always comparing ourselves to others. We always would like to be at the same level as someone else, even though we're two completely different people. If we're comparing ourselves to someone else, jealousy, fear. As a result of that, we're never actually enjoying the thing that we're in. Doesn't have to be a job. It's just a moment. And we've just been conditioned to think that way. I mean, I even remember at drama school, certainly whenever I was there, very old school, traditional institutions. I think they've changed now. I mean, I work in a few drama schools, and I believe they've changed in that sort of mindset. But back, whenever I was training, it was, you better watch your back, because if you're not going to be saying yes to that job, someone else is going to get it. And don't you dare say that you can't make that audition, because they'll think that you're not passionate about the job. And it's like everything has to be, the industry comes first and the job comes first. Like, it's not family, it's not one own's mental well-being or anything else. It really screws with you, and it's really fucked up, actually. That's not a healthy relationship to have with your art. that's something that we sort of need to sort of get out of, and I certainly need to get out of. There's room for us all, and I'm just going to be happy, thankful for what I've got, and work hard to hopefully realize my ambitions and dreams. And if they sort of meander and change, that's great. But live in the now and just work hard. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely amazing. I mean, the limiting beliefs and that literally scarcity mindset, isn't it? You said, there's plenty of room for all of us, and that's absolutely right. I
Big
mean,
time.
if your goal is to get the job so the other guy doesn't do it, or just because, you better go to the audition because if you don't, you're going to lose something, then your goal becomes not losing something and not even really thinking about what it is you want. You're not at choice. You're in fear.
Yeah. I mean, there's been holidays that I've been on back when I was starting off about 12 years ago. The agent would call and say, right, you've got a recall for whatever. And then I'm on holiday and said, well, if you don't fly over, you're going to miss out on this opportunity. What? The idea that you have to sacrifice everything, every personal moment for this industry that can be so unkind is preposterous. That's the thing that really, really has to change. And there is room for us all. Something that's been so wonderful about, this time of reflection is actually to sort of figure out what my place in this world is as an artist. And, I'm not a very good drawer. I don't do a multitude of things, but there's no reason why I can't try lots of different things. I've sort of been exploring with that, and I think we should all be encouraged to celebrate our diversity and multifaceted sort of range, because we that's how different we are.
Yeah.
No two people are the same.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. This is what I do wish it was on video for my listeners, because you just lit up when you said, you know what? I'm not necessarily a good drawer, but doesn't mean I can't do it,
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it brings you joy, obviously, and isn't that the goal?
Yeah. And rediscovering that sense of play. I did a conducting course because, at one point in my teens, I thought I was going to be a choral conductor. It's just been absolutely delightful, to realize that I'm not confined. Joy is not just in me being on a stage or in front of a camera doing my acting thing. It's anything that is discovering something that is curious and playful and creative.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. It's so interesting, I find with actors is, and when I work with them as a coach, sometimes we forget why we do it. Sometimes
Yeah.
we think we're married to the art, and it's interesting because often you can dig deeper and may very well be able to discover that, and I'm hearing it a little bit in you finding joy in teaching equally. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because there's a limiting belief that if you're acting and you're on the stage and that's what you're doing, then you're in love with acting. But maybe you're in love with the joy you're bringing the people through your acting.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it is not contrary to belief, contrary to how some people may perceive it to be. It is absolutely not an ego-driven pursuit. It is a communication and a dialogue. No one's going to get much satisfaction of being on the stage if there's no one to actually watch it.
Yeah.
It's a shared humanity that we're experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned teaching there. I mean, I was very, very fortunate to get quite a bit of teaching work over lockdown. I teach on and off as sort of a peripatetic singing and acting coach in a few drama schools in London. And of course, they we're in lockdown, but the courses, continued. So all of the students were doing Zoom lessons. Very, very difficult. They were just on their screens all day long.
Mm.
But, if I had maybe about 2 hours of teaching each day, which was an absolute godsend because, I'm still using my skill set
Yep.
and it is something that I absolutely adore. It just goes hand in hand with the thing I do. I mean, you know the exact same thing as a coach, and it's you learn so much as well from just talking about the art and being able to sort of learn from each other and observe. So yeah, it's been I'm very grateful, very blessed to have had that during this time for sure.
Absolutely. And it sounds like maybe there's going to be a continuation of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon so. I'm not sure if drama schools are going to be open again in September. Like, I think that's still quite soon.
Mm.
So yeah, continue online. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get into a rehearsal room in a studio with students. Hopefully, not too far away.
Yeah. Hey, so how much energy would you say you spend worrying about what you can't control?
It's really interesting that you sort of ask that at the moment. I've been speaking for personal reasons to my family a lot about sort of relinquishing control, and I feel as though I've been quite good at that. I don't think I use up too much energy doing that. Thankfully, I don't know how, why, or when that was sort of instilled in me, but I've always been very grateful, and I mean, happy is a bit of a complicated term, but content and sort of satisfied in my life, I guess. And if I was ever to lose something, I think I would be okay in that. I've been very lucky, and I do not have any control of this. The things that I am in control of, I will absolutely grab by the reins. And there are things that are tangible, you can pragmatically do, like be really prepared for an audition, learn your lines, get a good night's sleep, don't self-sabotage by having a really heavy night in the booze the night before a big concert or something. Those things I will grab control of because I can, but everything else, I'm happy to say that I'm relatively okay about that. Yeah, so I think I'm quite fortunate, and as I said, there's probably a reason there somewhere if we were to dig deep.
Yeah.
I know a lot of friends do struggle with that.
Is it important to you to not spend so much time worrying about it? Like, is it important for you to let it go?
Yes, I believe so. I think it is. Everything's got its time for concern, and there's going to be times in my life when I will desperately want to have control in something, control on my emotions, control on fate, control on grief, etc., etc. And there has to be time given for it, but also there has to be a relinquishing of it. We can't sort of hold it inside and let it control us. So yeah, it is. I think it is important.
Yeah.
I know, and I'm be so intrigued as to, like, without sort of going too far into sort of diagnosing me, but I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. But I've absolutely had a fascinating few months as a result of this scenario that we're in. Yeah, and as I said to Lisa, I've been learning to say no to things that I don't want to do. So
Yeah.
consider yourself very much on the priority.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm honored. So, what delights you?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, delight is just another. This is not another lovely term for joy, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, delight is playful. I probably use the term too often. There's a simplicity to it as well. I really enjoy reading in the morning, and I
Mm.
really enjoy getting up very early in order to do that. It would be, very early in the morning before the rest of the world is sort of woken up.
Yeah.
And That's me with a cup of coffee and a book, and that is just a delightful experience.
Mm,
But these are relatively simple endeavors. I think that's my version of delight.
yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that. What surprises you?
This is just the first thing I think of, but and it shouldn't surprise me. It shouldn't surprise anyone. But often I'm really blown away by one's kindness or like selflessness.
Mm,
Yeah, it's always a sort of beautiful thing to behold.
mm,
Maybe it's because kindness is often just not seen as much in the noise of the rest of the world.
hmm.
It doesn't necessarily come into view all that often. So when it does, it's a very lovely surprise.
Yeah. Yeah. What makes you laugh?
Lots of things, lots of things. We in Ireland we have this term called crack, which is not anything to do with cocaine, by the way, which sort of means lots of things. Like Irish people will say, what's the crack, which means what's going on, what's
Mm,
the news. But also we will say, oh, that was really good crack. Last night we went to the pub, had a few pints. There was music. We were telling jokes, stories. It was great crack. And Irish people love the crack, and I love the crack. And it's friends getting together, and again just being a little bit silly and playful and telling stories. I mean, Ireland's such a culture of storytelling. We love to tell a good story and have a laugh with each other. So yeah, it's just being with people in that setting is something that really makes me laugh.
how much do you value authenticity? And how often do you practice it?
I mean, I I live my authentic self most of the time. Oh, this is very, 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 very interesting. Because of course you strive to live an authentic life all the time, and I guess there are certain circumstances in which one doesn't. Oh, that's a really tough question. It really is.
Yeah.
That's quite difficult.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes
Yeah,
it makes sense. It's very important, and it says something about
yeah,
you that you're not going to answer lightly. That right there speaks to a value you have of being, I guess, authentic again, about being true, about
yeah.
not dialing in. It seems like being truthful is very important to you. Truthful to yourself, because I'm asking you about you. You know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I struggle with going back to the lockdowns, so putting this into the context of now and of sort of recently.
Mm,
I was really I had a bit of a dilemma whenever I saw loads of my colleagues, friends included, with this bombardment of content online,
hmm.
lots of influencer type motivational rhetoric. And I was really, really, really struggling with it because it just sort of screamed at me inauthentic.
Mm,
You know, it felt as though a lot of people were just really worried that they weren't going to be part of the very, very noisy soundscape that was happening online. And I don't know what I've done to remain authentic in that world, but I desperately tried to not do that. You know?
hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just just sort of remaining true to myself and not feeling as though I need to be sort of continuing to fuel this brand or whatever that means.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I did a lot of sort of online concerts and stuff, and then it just felt sort of it started to feel inauthentic
Yeah.
what I was doing
Yeah.
because I felt it's just been thrown into the ether as part of this pile of noise. I started to worry that I was being inauthentic by continuing to share my sort of artistic endeavors online.
Yeah.
That didn't start to feel quite real anymore.
Yeah, that's brilliant because it seems like you're recognizing, sort of speaking back to what you were saying earlier, you're
Mm.
recognizing and learning through this process to stop and take a moment about why you're doing stuff,
Yeah.
and that's brilliant. Yeah. What do you know will be true about you no matter what happens?
Um, I care.
Hmm.
I think yeah, that is something that will be true of me no matter what. I care about things. I make effort and give the allowed time for things, whether that be something that I'm pursuing myself. But I care about my my family's personal pursuits and personal well-being, and I don't think I'm selfish. I don't think I'm selfish. I'm sure that I have times when I can be like anyone else.
Absolutely.
I definitely care.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Mm.
That's important to you, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was brought up quite well in that regard. I have three older sisters who very much cared for me,
Mm.
and it's two wonderful parents. And coming from a sort of more working class background in Ireland, and being very lucky to have been able to pursue my dreams and be given the opportunity to do so because of the sacrifices that they have made.
Mm-hmm.
I've never lost sight of that. I always remember sort of where I've come from and the people that have helped me sort of realize my ambitions. And yeah, and I'll always be there to support them sort of emotionally and in whatever other way that I can,
Yeah.
you know.
That's beautiful. Absolutely.
Mm.
Thank you for sharing that. It's really beautiful. Yeah, I can see that. And it's gorgeous. Um, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I used to play this game and I don't really like to play it anymore.
Mm.
It's a common question that you get, and I don't picture myself. I can't see that far, and I'm not sure if I actually really want to see that far anymore. I just aim to continue to pursue um, pursue delight. Or
Yes.
keep it delightful. Um, I don't think, and as talking to you about this sort of journey that I've been on for the last 5 months, I'm certainly not going to pretend that I am in control of where I'm going to be in 5 years. I just want to continue pursuing delight in whatever small way that is, or whatever grand way that is. That's what I aim to do.
Mm, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. I mean it's no, it's exciting. All right, I'm going to try this thing with you. So I'm just going to if it's okay with you. So let's just try it, see what happens. This is kind of a new thing I've been trying. It's sort of fun. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go. It's like
All
the
right.
lightning round.
Okay. Yeah, right. You could go as fast as you want, whatever. So what makes you sad?
Mm. When my family are sad, when my family are going through tough times.
Yeah. Mad.
Selfishness.
Mm. Frustrated.
Trying to finish writing a song.
Interested.
um, new new ideas. I mean, that's very broad.
No, that's
Uh,
great.
yeah,
What about motivated?
potentiality of the unknown. I'm
Mm,
motivated to find out what is next
cool.
and what I can do next.
Inspired.
A really wonderful piece of theatre.
And finally, grateful.
Oh, I mean, every day that we have, I don't think that we're not owed anything. We're not owed tomorrow. Um, so I'm grateful for the moment.
Mm, beautiful. Oh my gosh. Listen, before we go, I do like to ask, what are the top three things that happened so far today?
You've picked such a boring day. Apart from this podcast interview, because I'm sat in this dull motel on the side of the motorway in Aylesbury. The top three things, it's a real bummer of a short list. But having said that, I woke up this morning and I put on BBC Radio 3, which is the classical music station, and I began a wonderful book called Orchestra of Minorities by Chikosi Obioma, which is up for the shortlisted for the Mom Booker Prize. So that's up there for sure. My castmate Luke Hatchman has got a Nintendo Switch in his hotel room, and I haven't played a video game in about 5,000 years. But I went into his room and played Mario Kart, which was a lovely trip down memory lane. But that was pretty good. And without a doubt, this extremely fascinating chat with you, Lisa. So thank you very much for that. But as I say, you really have the stiff competition.
No. It's so interesting because at first you thought it was boring, but then you were able to find gratitude for, the smaller, less spectacular things, right? I mean, it's interesting when someone asks you, there's sort of this moment of thinking, well, nothing's going to qualify. But then when you actually think about it, you're like, well,
that those two lovely little things that happen. Absolutely. They're there. We just need to find them.
Exactly. Acknowledge them. Yeah. And what are you most looking forward to today?
I mean, it's nearly my bedtime, so I suppose going to bed.
Yay!
Yeah. And the time difference, I'd say it's probably going to bed. I'll probably put in about an hour or so because I'm getting picked up at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna let you go, Fra. I so appreciate you taking the time to be in the moment with me today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thanks for having me. It was delightful.
I've been speaking today with the delightful Fra Fee. Thanks for listening. In music, stop time is that beautiful moment where the band is suspended in rhythmic unison, supporting the soloist to express their individuality. In the moment, I encourage you to take that time and create your own rhythm. Until next time, I'm Lisa Hopkins. Thanks for listening.